What's shaking, Shake Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Milkshake with the Boys. Once again, I'm Damo, and I'm joined by some of the usual suspects. We've got Das and Cheesy. Welcome, boys. How are we?
Ahoy, ahoy,
Hey,
Shakers.
Damo. Thanks for having me.
No worries. And we do have notable absence this week. Kerwin, unfortunately, cannot be attending this podcast. Bit sad, but however, we do have another member of the Milkshake with the Boys crew that we would love to introduce you to. So, welcome aboard to our friend Nugget. How are you?
I'm great. It's great to be here.
Love the energy. Good to be here. Now, I'm sure you listened last week, and in the intros, we gave our favourite milks, maybe a fun fact. I know Ed did. Would you like to share some of those with our faithful viewers out there?
Well, my favourite milk is the same as Ed's. A bit of a Southwest Victoria classic in honeycomb milk. Fun fact about myself is my username on my PlayStation is Sneakiest Pair 1. And if I can find the video in the future, you'll understand why they're so funny. But that's what I'm going to go. Yeah.
Is that because you thought you couldn't change your name, Nugget, and you just left it as Sneakiest Pair because it was suggested for you? Or did
Maybe,
you pick that?
yes. It was actually just because it was just such a high quality name.
I was going to say it perfectly summarised his Call of Duty game style back in the day. He was a very sneaky bloke.
Bit of a camper. Was he a camper?
He was one of those ones that would play search and destroy and wait for someone to plant the bomb and walk up behind him and defuse it without them seeing it.
What a sneaky pair.
Oh, well.
Would you prefer to be referred to as Nugget or Sneakiest Pair for this podcast?
But we'll just go between them, I reckon.
Either or. See how we feel.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, like it.
Give you one more fun fact if you want.
Oh, bonus
Lay it
one.
on
We
us.
would love it.
Yeah. First time I talked to Damo's father, when he said goodnight, I said night, mate, and I've heard it at least 200 million times since. Because every time we go to PlayStation, everyone just says night, mate. I don't think it was that funny, but
You love to see it.
It was funny
Iconic.
because he used everyone's names when he said goodnight. He said goodnight Ed, goodnight Das, goodnight Nugget, and he just went night, mate.
It's an iconic quote. Yeah, that's something
It is
that could
iconic.
be on your tombstone. Just night, mate. That's
Just gone to sleep.
It's
You know,
it perfectly.
that's all it is,
yeah,
really.
Exactly. Long sleep.
yeah.
Anyway, that was good, Nugget.
you love it.
We do. We love it, gays. We love those fun facts, and hopefully to know some more in the future.
All right, so to kick us off for the podcast this week, we're going to return with a familiar segment for you listeners from last week, which is Damo's Milk Review. So in this segment, Damo picks a milk beverage of choice for the week and then puts it on his tier list, which you'll be able to find the updated tier list on the Instagram once this pod's dropped. But Damo, take it away.
Yep. Thanks, Dars. Week one's tier list is already up on the Instagram. Spoiler alert for those of you who didn't listen to last week or just didn't make it far enough through the episode. But full cream milk ended up at right on, which is in the middle of the tier list. So, it'll be good to see in a few weeks when it's a bit more fleshed out with a few more different milks what it's looking like. So I think we'll go with what we did last week, similar sort of thing. I'll go through it, and then you boys have a quick guess and find out what.
I'm going to be more switched on this week. Listening back last week, my guess was just way off. I don't know where I got up and go from, but boy, I'm going to be more switched on this week. I'm ready for it.
Can we re-clarify with our fans as well that I also got it correct last week, and that's
I did get
point
it correct.
for
Just 1 point on the board.
And apparently we're given a half point to Kerwin. He won't be able to back it up this week with his
No,
guess.
that's his loss, isn't it?
Bit of room to catch up here, Duff.
And Nug could get on the board as well. Don't forget that. That's,
Good.
So, first impressions always count. You know,
Ooh.
people, first impressions, they leave they last forever. Same with milk. And this one, fireworks as soon as it hit my taste buds. The
Wow.
flavour of this milk, straight from the heavens. I'm telling you,
Oh boy.
I just wanted to keep going back for more. Like, you just want a bottomless glass. It's all you can dream of. This milk was amazing. Flavour. Last week, the full cream milk, as I said, didn't quite do it for me, but this one, boy, oh boy, wow, it was good.
Did you say first impressions as in it's the first time you've ever had this drink?
No.
I think it's the first part of the drinking experience.
Yes.
I think you mean.
Okay. Well, that makes it difficult. Yeah, right.
Clarified that, but I mean, you can have a second first impression sometimes, maybe, or not. Anyway, the consistency of the drink was also very good. As I touched on last week, you can get some milk drinks which might be a bit too thick, some which might be a bit too thin. However, this one, spot
Don't
on.
want that. You don't want a watery milk.
No, you want milk to be like milk.
Exactly.
Just consistency of good old-fashioned milk, which is exactly what you wanted. And sometimes flavoured milk doesn't really have good texture. You might be able to taste some powder. If it's like powder flavoured, it might not have mixed in properly, something of that nature. But this one was great. Couldn't taste anything that was all too different. All mixed in properly. No such issue with that. And all in all, it was just a perfect, smooth liquid, which tasted divine. Any guesses, boys?
I feel like I'm ready to jump
wow.
in. And
Gee, go on.
I guess, can I back it up by asking, do you generally have to shake the carton before you get to consuming it?
I will say this milk was flavoured.
Ooh.
Mm.
Well,
Look,
I won't.
if you're in Terang, I would have said the honeycomb milk based on our fellow hosts' favourite milks, because it sounds like a milk to be reckoned with. And it seems like the honeycomb milk is that, but you're not. You're a metropolitan boy like me.
Indeed.
So I'm going to go. So I'm sorry, I think I cut you off here, but I wanted to jump in and say I think this is just a classic chalky Big M.
Yeah, look, Das, I also think you're right on there, but I won't steal your answer because that'd be rude, even though that's what I was going to say.
You can say the same thing. I don't think it was a one answer per
Yeah,
I'm
it doesn't
gonna
change the
still say
fact that you
chalky
could be
milk.
Same
wrong.
answer.
Exactly.
I'm going
Could be
to
wrong.
still say it's chalky milk, but I'm going to say it was Nesquik because I feel like it's more accessible and for the long term right now. Given that you're not allowed out of the house often, you might not be wanting to go to
True.
the supermarket
And he
just for a
did just
chalky
say
Big
it's
M.
a flavoured milk.
Mm.
He didn't necessarily say it was a pre-established flavouring.
Look, I think you're on the money here, Darth, but yeah, my guess is chalky Nesquik.
Mm.
I do agree that it sounds like chocolate, but you go out on a limb instead. I think I'll just go like the opposite. I'll go with strawberry.
Oh,
I don't
wow.
think it is, but
Strawberry is
you
quite
got-
a strong flavour right from the
the
start.
gambler
though.
I am,
It is.
used to a gun for chocolate, so I'm not going to win if I go for the same. So I might just go strawberry
You
and
are
see how it
gambling
goes.
man.
This is
Well-
why you're the punter in the group nugget.
Yeah,
The outside chance, the value.
yeah, exactly. The long odds.
I will just say that for the future, why not double up on answers, because you could all be wrong.
Good point.
So,
So you admitting they were all wrong, are you?
well, no, one of you was right. And
Drum roll.
yeah, drum roll.
That
Won't do
must
that
mean
'cause they'll be bad
that
on the
must be
audio.
me because you said one. So Illuminati confirmed.
Well, it was actually Das.
Oh,
Was the
Well,
chunky
Das.
big M. You should have gone with it. You would have gotten the board. No, you already are on the board.
congratulations.
I feel bad. I didn't mean to jump in and hit both
Nah,
your
look,
answers.
it's all right. It's all
I
right.
thought you were going to stick with your guns and follow me in, but
Look, I'll do a Kerwin like last week and say I'll take a half point for the right flavour, but the wrong brand.
I think that's fair. I'm happy to award that.
Shout out Kerwin for making up rules as you go along.
But yeah, that goes in the milk that tastes like real milk tier, straight to the top,
Straight to the top. So it
in a
should.
league of its own.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. That's
No,
God-given
spot on
fact.
there. Spot on there, Beats.
Shout out Big M. We here at Milkshake with the Boys, we love our football, as you would have seen last week with Darce's celebration of the week. It's fantastic, wasn't it, Darce?
Oh, it was. If you haven't seen the clip, it is on the Instagram. We said in the recording we didn't have one yet, but we do. It's up there, subtitled for your viewing pleasure in case you can't listen to the actual words. But
Or hearing
check it
impaired?
out. Hearing impaired as well. Yes, of course. We don't
For
discriminate.
everyone.
We cater for everybody. Accessibility is a peak accessibility with the Milkshake with the Boys podcast.
But the blind
yeah,
and deaf
definitely check
people
that
might
out.
suffer a little bit. Poor blind and deaf people.
Well, look, it is quite an audio medium, isn't it? So you wouldn't think that there'd be too many deaf people listening to a podcast. But
then again, if there is, no, nothing against it, does.
No, not at all. Actually, quite commendable, really, if you're managing to do that with hearing.
We support it. If you can lip read my mouth, you're doing a good job.
We might have to get a braille
With no
transcript
video
sent
as well.
out.
It's a pretty
With no video.
skillful
True, I forgot
with no video.
Well, we thought we'd stick with a football theme for a different kind of discussion this week. AFL cult heroes.
Oh.
Now, we all love them. They're all scattered throughout the league, different teams throughout history. We just thought we might go through who some of our favourites have been over the years. Anyone
I'm happy
have
to kick us off.
favourite cult figure?
Yeah.
Darce,
Yes.
take it away.
You mentioned scattered across different teams, and part of what makes a cult figure so great in most cases is the fact that they're not always with one team. They're sort of could be a bit of a hairy journeyman, you might say.
Yes.
And that's why my cult hero is none other than Matt Spanger, Hawthorn Premiership hero. Played for the Eagles and then for Sydney before we picked him up. Oh, I'm a Hawthorn supporter, by the way, in case you couldn't tell from this pick. Picked him up in 2013, played a few games, he played in 2014 before a pretty major ankle injury, and then came back in such flying form. He got all the way through and was picked for the grand final in 2014 and smashed it out of the park. And just big, long hair, not mullet, but just long, luscious locks, a beard, a good, healthy beard on him. And just, he looked like Jesus on the field. He played like Jesus would play. And I just loved him. Matt Spanger, you couldn't do anything wrong, Matt Spanger. He was a hero.
Think that's something that makes a cult hero as well, the looks. And
Exactly.
when you've got something
They
that
have
makes you
something
stand
notable
out,
about them.
yeah, exactly. And he had that in spades.
He did. A resemblance to Jesus like none other. No other football player has looked as much like such a notable figure from history. And I think that really added to his gameplay.
Spot on.
Das. Now, he
Yeah.
played for West Coast. Was he part of the West Coast Premiership team in, was it 05 or was it 06?
He watched. He
06.
was just only in the crowd for the West Coast Premiership and the Sydney Premiership before he finally was part of it in the Hawthorn Premiership in 2014, which is what made his journey so great, I think.
It would have
Really
been
added to
something
it.
special if he had won
Oh,
with
after
a
all
few
that
clubs.
time.
Mm.
It would, but it makes the Hawthorn one even more special that he finally got his chance.
Good point. Good point.
Always the bridesmaid. Just
Exactly.
never quite got
It's
to
finally his big
be.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nugget, have you got one for us?
Yeah. I'll go with Tom Liberatore because well, I'm a Bulldog supporter, and just after 2016, especially after the grand final, I still love that interview where he talks about they asked, how'd you go today? And I made a ton. I just crack up every time. But like the way he come back from his injury that year to come back into a team and then pretty much be one of the big figures that took him all the way to the final was huge. And then his antics were just iconic afterwards. I still have a photo. My screensaver on my phone is still a photo of him. I think he's in it. I can't remember what team. It might be Vietnam or something like that.
Was it Bali?
It might be Bali, yeah. And he's just got he's shaved the top of his head, and he's got a pair of sunnies on, and they're on half on, half off. And it's just great banter.
It's iconic. I remember the game, I think it was last year, round 2, 2019, against Hawthorn. I was at the game and he kicked the sealer goal for the Dogs after your comeback, which partially handed to you by the umpires, but also a bit of your own effort too. But he kicked that goal, and BT's commentary is just legendary. I'm not going to read credit because I won't do it justice, but just Liver, the hero, kicked the goal. Pretty good. Pretty heroic, in fact, you might say.
I was just going to say he's very loved by the commentators. I guess his playing does deserve some love from the commentators as well, because I found it hard to believe that he was not playing at the start of the season, given how good his form's been since he's come back.
Those injuries, though.
Was it? I thought he was out for a few weeks as well, just delisted.
It would have been playing scratch matches, which is probably silly, but
yeah, right.
Just while we're on it, but did you hear the other week there was 3 teams playing or something? Like Melbourne.
What? In the one scratch match?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like Melbourne
They were
Carlton,
trading players.
Essendon or something. They teamed up. It's like
at one point, Lockie Hunter played for North Melbourne in a scratch match.
Yeah, they have to just trade players to make up numbers for all the teams.
It's like juniors.
Not everyone has.
God, that'd be awkward if you're a player, though, wouldn't you? Wouldn't it?
Mm.
I would have thought
you prepare to play against these guys your hardest, and not to hate them, but to have that mentality when you're coming into the game, and all of a sudden you're playing with them. It'd be bloody weird.
It'd be weird because you won't know any of their system or anything. It'd be a bit
true.
Yeah, how can you practice a game plan when you're playing with people who would have a completely different one?
Yeah.
Would you just throw the game for them? Would you just throw the game? Give it to your own team?
I don't
you lose.
Really cared too much about the result.
Yeah, true.
Which, I mean, if you did, if it was in the VFL or something, you would, I guess. But when it's just these weird scratch matches, I don't know. Probably wouldn't.
Yeah, true.
Some would say that Mick Malthouse went and coached Carlton to throw them under the.
Jeez. That list was not as bad as what Mick Malthouse made it look. I definitely think there's something behind him coming from Collingwood to Carlton to ruin us, but that's for another episode. We'll look into that one.
You have to watch Brett Ratton lift up St Kilda to possibly a huge season.
Yeah, it sucks nugget, to be honest. Oh, well, we're happy here on the Teague train. Big loss on the weekend, but we'll come back from it. I guess I should probably list my cold hero. Now, these boys here obviously sort of went for their biased picks with picking someone from their club. I was thinking about doing the same thing as well. I was tossing up between Fev, but I don't think Fev's necessarily a cult hero because I feel like everyone loves him. Not just Carlton supporters, because he's obviously got that classic Steven Seagal pressure point Brownlow performance.
Yeah.
Saved that Brownlow. because Gary Ablett kind of ruined it.
He did. It was boring.
He did. It was terrible. He was flogging it. But yeah, Fev, I feel like is too obvious of a pick. So I went back a little bit, and my cult hero is the great Fraser Garrick, aka the G Train.
Oh, the G Train.
Yeah, you got to love this bloke. Now, I can't say I witnessed his peak years, but from what I've heard, he was an absolute superstar. I know there was a season or two where he kicked 100 goals in a year, which that's just an incredible feat at that. Like, the last person to do that was Buddy. Obviously, Fev kicked 99, but no one's got close since. I don't know what the most's been, like 80 since then. I don't know. But yeah, absolute superstar of the game. Also, iconic for probably having one of the best mullets ever seen in AFL history. Now, at the same time, you could argue that it's probably the most disgusting mullet you've ever seen, but I love the bleached curls at the bottom of the mullet. It just, we'll have to get a photo up on our Instagram, MSWTB_pod, but probably one of the best mullets you'll ever see. And another reason I feel like he was a cult hero, especially for St Kilda fans, was just the amount of confidence the dude played with. He didn't care what the moment was. He'd never back down of it. And you watch G-Train highlights, and there's just that many clips of him squaring up with blokes. He honestly does not care who you are. Something I'll pay to see is a Barry Hall G-Train boxing match.
Oh boy,
I think that would be very saucy. But
I
love the G-Train.
I loved when he gave away those two, I think it was 250s against
250 meters
Freo,
right after.
where he just went at Hayden Ballantyne and David Mundy. He just continued.
Oh, that was funny, but you can't even feel. You can't even like look down on him for it because it's just such an iconic moment. Like, you look back on it.
And it's against Hayden Ballantyne too, which is always warranted.
Yeah, no one likes that dude. No one likes him. But Hayden Ballantyne, we'll have you on the pod if you want to come on.
That is a notable media figure, but look, we wouldn't say no, would we?
He's bigger than us, stars.
That's true.
Give him that for the time being.
Well,
exactly.
He could be the nicest bloke. You just don't know. Him and Ryan Crowley. I know we're going a bit off topic from the G Train here, but just while we're on it, him and Ryan Crowley would, rile up oppositions all the time. But apparently they're two of the nicest blokes going around. So, you don't know the true Hayden Ballantyne yet, Ed. All you've seen is
I
the
guess
footy
you
field.
can't really let his game do the talk, but yeah, fair enough. Sort of a bit of a Tom Papley to us.
Oh, I don't get me started on Tom Papley.
I love Tom Papley.
You can leave Tom Papley in the past a few weeks ago, but that's fine.
How about you, Damo? Who's your AFL cult hero?
Well, as Ed said, we'd sort of gone with the players from the teams we've supported. And although it's pretty basic and boring, I'll probably have to stick with it. I'm a Melbourne supporter, long suffering, but that's all right. I, like Ed, thought a very popular player of Max Gawn might be a cult hero, but as Ed said, once someone like Fev or a Gawn, once they get to that sort of star status, they don't really count. But at the start of his career, I definitely would have said so. And we've had a few at the Ds over the years, but one that definitely sticks out to me from back in the day was Nathan Carroll. A lot of people wouldn't know who he is. He was our fullback. He would stand out, not necessarily for his starring play on the field, but his hairstyles. And like Das was saying with Spanger, he's got the Jesus look about him. Nathan Carroll had more than just one look. He had the mullet. He had like a shaved, like half his head, like the back half not shaved, the front half shaved, so not even like a back and sides. He had a head.
A bit like The Last Airbender, but like
sort of
like that. Instead of an arrow, has the hair, the fringe.
I'm looking at some of those images right now, Damo, and
Yeah.
you are right. Those haircuts We'll have to get a bit of a poll on the Instagram. Who pulled off the blonde tipped mullet better, the G Train or Nathan Carroll? Because that would be a close one, I reckon. That is
It
I'm not,
definitely
I'm not
would.
thinking
good
Last
mullet.
Airbender. What was that show with that kid? It was some kid and he just had like a ponytail, completely shaved head with a ponytail and a fringe.
Yeah, it wasn't
Only
the last
hair.
Airbender. Was that Aang or his mate? It is Aang, isn't it?
No, but
Aang,
Aang
was
was
on
bald with the arrow as
Arrow.
animated.
True.
Anyway, that's what I'm imagining with Carol, with
Yeah.
when he's saying half head shaved and half not. Demo.
Well, it's out there. We'll have to. Has to be seen to be believed. Really, can't describe it.
It's
But
beautiful.
another moment which definitely sticks out to me, being a Melbourne supporter, we don't get to see many finals. But one I remember was back in 2006 when Nathan Carroll lined up on the G train, and close in the first half, we were behind. And inspirational moment, as all cult heroes do. They get the team up and about. Nathan Carroll ran down the G train for a pivotal moment, holding the ball decision, which some would say would turn the game.
Wow.
And I think that it's those little moments that the fans really get behind the cult
It is.
heroes for.
Bit like Bootsma for Carlton. Not necessarily
Inspirational.
cult hero.
Who'd you
Kind
say?
of. I think every Carlton supporter wanted to drop him, but looking back at him, he was just a kid. He was all right.
You say
Didn't he?
Bootsma?
Yeah, Josh Bootsma. You remember
I
him?
love Bootsma.
I remember every time he'd grab the ball, it would be like, you know how everyone would do the Cuda roar? Well, it was the big Bootsma roars. Bootsma! You got around it when you liked the game, but
Didn't he
wasn't the
have a
biggest fan of him.
pretty good start to his career?
I feel like that's why he got so much attention, because he was decent when he started, but I feel like there was just no progress when his career went on. But yeah, shout out Bootsma. We'll have you on the pod as well if you want. So hope you enjoyed that little topic about our favourite AFL cult heroes. Now, moving on, a couple weeks back, we got a few fan questions from social media regarding our podcast and some content we could talk about. So we'll go through that this week. Now, if you want to leave a comment in the comment section or ask us on Instagram or Twitter or however you find us, ask us any question. We're not afraid to answer pretty much anything. But yeah, we'll get to this week's fans' questions. So starting off with question one, we've got Robert from Victoria. Robert said, "Hi, love your channel. Great content. I would like to hear what you guys consider to be the best milk or flavoured milk on the market." Righto. Thanks for the
You've
question,
kind of answered
Robert.
this question, Rob. We appreciate it.
We have already answered it, but
He's not the
then
keenest
again-
of listeners, is he? I don't want to just now be bagging our listeners, but this is what we said at the start of our introductions.
look, we'll let you pass on this one, Robert. But yeah, I guess we'll quickly tell him in case he.
You could go with an
wants to really
alternate
know.
answer.
Oh, we could, yeah, maybe. What is our overall agreed on favourite milk flavour?
Okay,
Exactly.
right.
Together.
Or
I
just
think
milk.
it's hard to go past the chalky milk. No, I'm not gonna say no. Milk is not. I'm not a fan of just normal
Yeah,
milk.
I agree. I'm not actually a fan
I
of
love
just
milk. I love milk, but if I've got milk and chalky milk in the fridge next to each other, I'm pouring myself a glass of chalky milk first.
Definitely.
I also think there's a lot more meaning behind chalky milk for us boys as well. We've sort of it's really the bond of our group. It's what keeps us together. So
But
our
I'm happy to
lifeblood is the
say
group, you
chalky
might
milk
say.
if all you guys agree.
Yeah, chalky milk I'm happy with. I think that's definitely the superior flavour. But what brand do we think for chalky milk? Because, I mean, Big M is the classic. You can't go past a Big M, surely.
Yeah, look, Big M's probably the most consistent and consistently good. It's amazing. I can't exactly tell you if it's my favourite all time. I know I've had some bloody good chalky milk flavours from other like niche markets before, but yeah, Big M,
Niche?
why not? Yeah, Yep.
Well, I know you're not a fan of Barista Bros, and neither is Nug, because they do use powdered milk. But I quite like the texture still feels creamy, like a nice creamy milk somehow. I feel like they managed to pull it off. But I know you two aren't really fans of Barista Bros.
Look,
Nugget,
I think the
Nugget doesn't
flavoring's
agree.
there,
I would
but
agree
I
with
don't
that.
like opening up the drink and getting to the bottom and you've still got powdered milk. Like obviously you got a
Mm.
shaky milk, and that was my mistake that I found powdered milk on the bottom. But it shouldn't matter because brands that sell themselves as selling fresh milk should not
Shouldn't
be
be using
using
No.
powdered milk. And
No, I agree.
Personally, I'd go for oak over just your Big M, but I've always
You're
enjoyed
hungry,
that
thirsty,
more.
dead with an oak.
Yeah, exactly. But like, if I go into a shop and there's the Big M, I love a Big M, but yeah, I'd take oak any day, personally.
look, I
Oak
guess
over
the
Big
way you
M.
look at it is Oak's got Hungry Thirsty Dead, one of the most iconic ads ever. But then at
Yeah.
the same time, Big M's got Aaron Gox. And
They do.
I
They do have
don't know
boxing.
who you're taking. Like, imagine
I'd
just
take
enjoying a
Aaron
nice
Gox.
Big M from his
Ooh.
milk stubby holders.
Ooh.
Now that would be living.
If Aaron
the
Gox
dream.
ever wants to join our podcast, I'd happily get him.
At this point,
What's
I
that?
don't think anyone back. I think anyone, if they wanted to come on, we'd have them at this point.
We could join his.
We could.
Ooh, yeah.
We could.
I'm
We
all
could be the
ears, isn't it?
guests.
With what's his name? Can't
Ben
remember his
someone.
name, but I'm all ears. Yeah, that's it.
Shout out Goxie in your podcast.
Hmm.
What about you, Damo? Do you have a favourite kind of milk? Are you a Big M man like myself?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the previous segment earlier in the show speaks for itself. Putting chocolate Big M at milk that tastes like real milk doesn't really get any better than
Yeah.
that. It's
No,
the
you can't
pinnacle.
go by.
Well, there you are, Robert.
Thanks for the
Mutually,
question.
we've all agreed that Big M chalky milk is our favorite type of milk. So fan 2, we've got Caitlin from Victoria. Caitlin asks, how much Milo is the optimum amount for your drink?
Ah,
Now, that's a great question, Caitlin.
This is the big question.
I guess there's a lot of factors that weigh into this, whether you're having a hot Milo or a cold Milo,
Yes.
whether you're going to stir your Milo in to sort of make it Milo flavored milk, or whether you're just having sort of milk with layers of Milo.
The Kerwin technique. The milk
Kerwin
with
technique.
Milo layers. He told us
So-
last week, listeners, if you haven't heard that, it is quite a long method that he stretched out over a good few minutes. So you need to have a bit of free time to listen to it, but it is worth a listen to find out his answer to this question, Caitlin. If you wanted to know, you can listen to our last week's podcast. But for me, I do what you said, Ed, about and mixing the Milo into the milk, so it's more chocolatey flavored throughout the whole milk. So my method is, I'm not sure if this is a bit weird, but 3 to 4 heaped teaspoons in to the glass, and then a bit of a splash of milk, not a small splash, but like a decent splash, and then mix everything up into a paste, and then add a bit more milk and mix it in, and then keep going. So it's kind of like how you do a coffee, when like you add, it ends up being like that, adding a milk into the espresso liquid, but except it's a Milo liquid. And then you end up with still like a Milo-y layer on top. And you can also, of course, add your own Milo to the top if you like. But that's the way I do it. So it's more of a chocolatey experience the whole way through.
Das, I got to say, your method's pretty similar to mine. I'd also like to add that what I do is so after I put the couple of heaped teaspoons on the bottom, I actually use a bit of boiling water to dissolve the Milo, so it makes it into
You're
that
a water
paste.
person.
No,
Now, I know
not
people
much,
that-
just enough to mix the Milo and make it like a sort of Milo syrup, and then you just chuck the milk on top.
So yours
That's my
is,
method.
but still with a cold Milo.
Yes, so cold Milo. So it's just like Milo,
But with a bit of hot
and
water to melt the Milo.
half an inch of boiling water, and then just the rest is cold milk.
Interesting. So with a hot Milo, I know people that do the opposite of that. So mostly hot water and then a bit of milk, which is wrong to me. That's just you don't get the right texture
it's
with
a
that.
sin.
I feel like if you're making a hot Milo, you got to put it so that it's like you're warming up the milk. So you put Milo and milk
Yes.
together, and then you're warming up the milk in the microwave or whatever.
Yes,
It's
that's
not
what I do.
a boiling.
I make it the same
kettle
way,
job.
just with heated up milk. That's how you have
Yeah.
a hot Milo.
What's your
What
take,
about you,
Nug?
Damo?
Or
Oh,
Damo?
I like a very rich. So I'll be more of the type of person that you would see. They take 1 teaspoon
Just eat
out
the
of
Milo out the tin.
Milo tin, and then I tip the milk in the Milo tin.
Very nice.
No, I know. I'm not real. I don't really have a technique to it. It's more. I only like really a cold Milo. I'm not a big fan of a hot Milo.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I just like it really rich. So I would fair few teaspoons.
I agree with that,
Heat
Nugget,
teaspoons.
because I feel like I'm having hot chocolate more than a hot Milo. I just feel like a hot
Yeah,
chocolate's
definitely.
a bit smoother, and you don't get those
Definitely.
sort of not chunks of Milo necessarily, but it just dissolves
Grainy.
better.
Bit grainy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Damo, what do you reckon?
I'm a cold Milo person too.
Cold Milo.
Put that out
Yeah.
there. But I don't know. Put a few heap teaspoons in the bottom. Probably for those of you who are mathematically minded out there, probably be somewhere between 15-20% of the glass you want your Milo to be. Somewhere in that
Wowee.
range. You know, a good.
I like that actually. I like that using the percentage, because if you've got a bigger glass, sometimes 3 teaspoons isn't going to be enough.
Yeah,
If you've got too
because
much milk.
I can picture the glass that I use for my cold Milo, and it's probably 1.5 centimeters maybe of Milo at the top. But,
Mhm.
you know, that could change depending on the shape and size of your glass. But, you know, just milk straight on top, stir it around a little bit. Once the Milo will rise to the top because I add it fairly aggressively. And I don't like the kind of paste that you were talking about, Das. I prefer the Milo to still have a bit of that dryness to it.
Yeah.
I agree.
So, yeah, that's my optimum Milo.
There you
Very
go.
good, fair enough.
Quite different takes there.
Diversity.
Well, there you go, Caitlin. That's all our takes on what our favourite Milo formula is. If you'd love to share with us your favourite Milo formula, let us know in the comment sections. We're keen to hear any tips or ways we could possibly do it better.
I could review them.
Yeah, exactly. There we go.
Mm.
Right, Owen, our final fan question for the week. It's actually from an anonymous person. They would rather not say their name. But the question, I think it's a bit outdated now. It says, what are your thoughts on Kanye West running for president? Now, from the rumor, the word I've heard is that he's actually not eligible to run for president. I'm not sure if any of you guys have heard that, but
I can't say I've looked into it too much. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't really give it too much. Think it held too much water. His nomination, but look, at least I heard he's nominated a vice president that's going to be with him. So some biblical
As you
life
said,
coach.
who?
I'm not sure of a name, but yeah, I don't know. Ed, you're the sort of the more musically knowledgeable member of the podcast, so I'm sure you know more about Kanye West than maybe the rest of us.
Me, myself, and Damo, we love Kanye. However, I think we can all agree that we don't want him running for president or getting the presidency role.
Yeah,
I just feel like
I'm quite happy for him to stick to music. I
his
think.
great music mind does not equal great political mind.
Looks
saying
bad
that,
for
I actually,
America.
look, saying that, would he be any worse than Donald Trump has been?
Probably not. I reckon he actually would be, but
maybe he might be. He does seem a bit crazy, but at the same time, neither presidents have been great, and we kind of just, for all our American listeners out there, we hope you can get to a president that you one day enjoy and think does good things for your country, because it's not looking great for you guys right now. And yeah, just all the best. What's your take on it though, Damo? Like,
Well, as you said,
thoughts on Kanye?
Kanye's music is fantastic. You know, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. That's top tier.
One of the greatest
music.
Great album. Great album.
Indeed. I'd be happy for him to write another album of that caliber rather than go and run the country in the White House. So that's my take.
Yeah, I guess he's so busy with so many things. Like he's got his Yeezus brand. He's making albums every year, second year. You sort of just think, does he have time to be doing a good president campaign? Like, does he have enough
feel like
time
if-
to put all his energy into that?
If he really wanted to do it, that music and stuff would be taking a step back.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
the
Something would
thing
have
that
to
would
give.
also worry Kanye fans, because I think they'd rather music rather than
Spot on.
I think you're right, Nugget.
yeah.
Oh well, there we go. I guess none of
Being a
us
bit
really
political
want.
there. for that part
Yeah,
of it,
look,
that
we
part of the
bring
podcast.
all topics into our podcasts, and we're quite knowledgeable young men. So
Oh wow.
we will answer your tough questions if that's what you need. But yeah, thanks to that, Mr. Anonymous. Good
Or
question.
Mrs.
Or Mrs.
Or Mrs. Sorry, or whatever proverb you would like.
Pronoun.
Sorry, pronoun. Sorry, whatever other pronoun you'd like. We don't judge. But yeah, thank you again.
If you'd like
And-
any questions to be answered in coming podcasts, be sure to leave them down below in the YouTube comments or hit us up on Twitter at what's our Twitter? MSWTB. Was it
No,
Milkshake WTB
that's the Twitter.
Again,
yeah.
it'll be
In the
in the description. Yep.
in the description, and
Same as our
is
Instagram.
at MSWTB_pod. So
That's the one.
there you can also find Damo's tier list will be there. And other
highlights
sort of
from the
highlights,
podcast.
all highlights from the podcast you'll find there. So feel
And
free to hit us up.
definitely, if you can, use Instagram as your first media, because it's probably our first media that we go to.
Yeah.
We know Twitter's great, but I guess Instagram's more of an Australian icon rather than Twitter. So I feel like, you know what I'm saying? More people use Instagram in Australia than people use Twitter.
Or at least the
100%.
demographic we're targeting.
Yeah, at least in our demographic,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I guess.
And so with that political discussion, it brings us to the end of another podcast. We hope you've enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. As we plugged our socials, feel free to hit us up. But until then, all we got to say is shake on shakers. Keep shaking.
Night, mates.
Night, mates.